Hello everyone, and welcome to this video about the TV talk between Janice and Charlie. And I wanted to give you all a little bit of backstory between Janice and Charlie. And while some of you have questions of who she is, I definitely don't want to go too in depth and just tell you a little bit of the research that I did about some of their phone calls, and I'll do that closer to the end of the video about some of the research I've done over the past year. But I first wanted to just say I'm off camera because I have not been getting much sleep whatsoever, much like you all listening to all the jail calls. And I've been watching them on Mentor Lawyer's channel. Big shout out to Mentor Lawyer. And I know some other channels have it now, and props to everyone. I'm just glad that you all are sifting through it and sharing the things that you find interesting. And that's what I hope to do with some of these breakout videos. And first, let's talk today about the phone call between Janice and Charlie. A couple of things that I found really interesting of their conversations was when Charlie asked her to throw away the sex toys, and Janice is watching Charlie's dog Bubbles, and obviously this is a huge point of contention where the dog is going to go now, because there are a lot of talks about selling the house. Were they going to sell this house or rent it? And I'll go on to another transcribed conversation between Charlie and Janice about this TV, and I cannot believe that they're talking about the TV. So I wanted to share that conversation before I get into the history of their relationship just a little bit. And Charlie and Janice were talking a lot about the trial and where he's going to go to prison. Janice hopes that he'll be local so she can go visit him. I loved how Janice was kind of calling Charlie out and saying, with the Katie thing, you have to be livid. She's doing a little bit of her own investigative research. I felt like she was definitely fishing with that question. And Charlie says, no, I can't. And he cannot talk about that, obviously. But a lot of you have speculated, why isn't he mad about the Katie thing, the Katie's testimony and the proffer? Why isn't he talking about Dan Markel and how upset he is for Dan's family, or how upset he is at Katherine? It makes no sense. And a lot of you had said that Dr. Janice's voice sounds just like Katie's. I believe that they do have some very similar characteristics, including their voices. Janice goes on to talk about the TVs, and she says, I'm taking your TVs. And he says, if you rent it, you got to leave the TVs. And then she says, let's not talk about TVs. So thank you so much, Mentor Lawyer, for sharing those. I don't think I'm going to do any breakout videos with audio. It's too much. There's too much going on. I might just talk about these quotes. But Charlie says, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the house. Not today. Either rent it or sell it through my parents or a realtor. I'll help you get out. A little bit crazy, a year or whatever. Then Dr. Janice says, yeah, well, I'm taking the TV. Charlie says, what? Dr. Janice says, I'm taking the TV, laughing. Dr. Janice says, yeah, I'm taking both TVs. Charlie says, are they? Dr. Janice says, yeah, I'm cleaning them. I'm taking them. I know you said not today, but God, I hope not to get some time real quick. I don't know what that means, but he says, but if I rent it, I'm going to need the TVs. Dr. Janice says, say what? Charlie says, don't take the TVs off the wall. They're not worth that much to you. Dr. Janice says, the TVs are stuck to the wall? Charlie says, well, no. They've got brackets on the wall. You're going, blank house is going to look like it was wounded. Leave the TVs there. You're talking about the bedroom set and the living room? Dr. Janice says, can I take one of them? Charlie says, no, leave them because the house is going to need to be shown. You know it's going to be shown, and it's going to have a blanking 3x4 foot brackets on the wall. That'll look like a missing TV. Dr. Janice says, oh God. Charlie says, and I'll have to, honestly, Janice, you can get a 50-inch set for $600. Janice, okay, Charlie, do that. You can get the nice set for $500, but it has to be shown. Leave something. Janice, this is crazy. Okay, let's not talk about this right now. Okay, Charlie, they're going to think this is TV code for, Dr. Janice. I know, right? Both laughing. Charlie, can't use the word TV anymore, dude. There's no blanking code for TV at all. There's no zero. There's no code. Dr. Janice, I know. Charlie, 15 years ago when you bought a set, cost a couple thousand. Back in 2010, a nice set did cost a couple $1,000. Now, the blanking set you buy for $500, but now with TV brackets behind it, just leave it alone. All right, anyway, guys, so there's some fixation on TV in this family. Also, I have spoke to someone who was one of Harvey's patients, and she said that Harvey talked to her about TV sets, old-fashioned TV sets, and he was just obsessed. So there's some kind of obsession with TVs in this Adelson family. But also, the gentleman who was on the phone call with Charlie on the 7th with the accent is a friend of Charlie's. I'm speculating. This is a gentleman who's 44 years old, residing in Deerfield Beach, but I will not say the name. I don't know if he pertains to the case. He didn't really even seem to know much about the case. He didn't even know that Charlie was found guilty. It was very bizarre. Let's go ahead and look at some of the history of Charlie and Janice's phone calls. Janice has been living in Charlie's house for about a year. And right from the start, I noticed that Janice was one of Charlie's frequent phone calls. And I basically only recorded these frequent phone calls because these were the only people who were picking up the phone. Charlie was making a lot of rogue phone calls when he got into the jail around April of 2022, approximately for like 30 minutes to an hour. That's why I thought that, because she's a psychologist, I thought that she might be his therapist, and I didn't know that they had a romantic relationship, hence the talk about her getting rid of his sex toys about an hour to 2 hours at the most every month. He was mostly talking to Donna and his lawyers. I found his holiday calls very interesting, and how often that he talked to her on those holiday calls, which I found it interesting that he called her about 2% of the time on Valentine's Day. So that led me to believe that they did have a romantic relationship throughout the year of what I've been noticing. Janice was definitely one of the people who was picking up the phone, including Bree and the lawyer, and Donna were his solid 4 people throughout this year that I noticed. We noticed a few other characters, some of his friends, but let's stay tuned and listen to these jail phone calls. I just want to share information and promote justice for Dan, and I hope she's looking at this through a different lens now, especially being a psychologist, and she definitely might be fascinated by him. She might very well be in love with him, but kind of having to face some hard facts right now. But let's hope for justice for Dan and the Markel boys. Let's hope that they're okay, and let's hope for justice for Dan in this case. So, and also going into Donna's trial. More videos to come. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.